Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the February 2023 meeting of the Park Hills Civic Association. My name is Alan Bowser. I'm one of the officers, along with Cheryl Gardner, who's our vice president, Nina Vasinik, who's our treasurer, and currently our secretary position is vacant. Anybody interested, please email me at alan.bowser@gmail.com. What I'd like to do first is to go around the horn, have people introduce themselves and say where they live and they want to add anything to that. We'll start with Chris Richardson.
Hi, it's Chris Richardson on Deerfield Avenue. I live a few doors down from Allen.
Thank you. Gary.
Gary Klauber, live on Bonifant right at the corner of Dale Drive, and I have moved in early in 1988, so you can't say I'm not stable.
Jen.
Jen Riskus. I live in the 200 block of Dale, a couple houses up from Nina. I have the big Bernese mountain dogs that like to woof at you from the windows of my addition.
Thanks, Jen. Andy. You're still muted. There you go.
Andy Slenebach. I'm on Sheffield, off of Fleetwood, off of Dale.
Thank you, Andy. Nice to see you. Kelly.
I'm Kelly McCullough, and I live on Mansfield, closer to Dale than Wayne, but about halfway.
David, you're next.
David Ehrenstein, also on Mansfield, closer to the middle.
Melissa. Where'd you go? There you are, Melissa. You are muted. But when you get unmuted, you can introduce yourself.
Sorry, I'm Melissa Crystal. We are the second house on the left on Deerfield Avenue.
Oh, great. Nina.
Hi, I'm Nina, and I live on Dale Drive, a few houses down from Jen, as she said, and I have a basset hound, which is probably more memorable and recognizable than I am. So, and he always likes to bark back at Jen's dogs. It's a little dialogue they have going on.
Nice to see you, Nina. Diana. Sign language.
You hear me now?
We hear you now.
Okay. Diana Rowney. I live on Dartmouth near Dale.
Thank you. David. Yes.
Hi, I'm David. I live on a Fleetwood Terrace.
Great. Cheryl.
Hi, I live on Fleetwood Terrace and Fleetwood Street. Came in '88 with my baby, the first. And then next door brought my parents, so my daughter and her family lives next door to me on Fleetwood Street.
Let's see. Don.
Don Slater. I live on Lower Mansfield.
Thank you. Is that Wendy or John? Who's in there? We can't see. Caswell?
Sorry, yes, Wendy.
Hey, Wendy.
I'm on Dartmouth Avenue since 1984, February of 1984.
We're long timers. Let's see. Diane, did we call on you? Joanna.
Hi there, this is Joanna DeLucia. We are on Mid Mansfield across from the Ehrensteins. I'm actually on Mansfield now with my dog, so.
Oh, Mansfield is well represented. John Morgan.
Hey, everybody, John Morgan here. That's my avatar, Toby, one of the barking 12-pound dogs in our house, along with Fred. I'm sitting here with Nancy, so happy to participate.
Hey, Nancy.
Hi.
Josh? There you are. We can't hear you, Josh, even though you look like you're unmuted. We'll get back to you later. Christian? Josh on Deerfield. And so we can't hear you either. They live on Deerfield. We'll figure it out. And Lori Kaplan?
Sure. Hi, Lori Kaplan, Dale Drive, right near Fleetwood.
Welcome, everybody. If there's anybody whose name I did not call, who wants to introduce themselves? Who's on the iPhone?
That's
I
Nina.
think that's Nina. I'm not sure why it says iPhone and not Nina. I got a new iPhone and I can't figure out how to change that. So
It's taking
it's
over your
Nina.
life. It says iPhone. It doesn't say Nina.
No, the old one used to say Nina. I don't know why this one says iPhone. So I turned off my camera because I'm moving around and I don't want to make you guys nauseous.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. This is a good group to start a conversation. I thought it was important to have a Civic Association meeting because we haven't had one since last May, I believe. A lot has happened, especially over the last couple of months. I wanted to have us have a conversation about downtown Silver Spring public safety, some Purple Line and pedestrian safety issues. And then Chris is going to talk to us about some of the things that are going on at Sims and Sligo Creek Elementary School. I'm going to try to make this a little bit interesting. I put together a PowerPoint presentation that I would love to share with you, and see if I can do that. Can you all see that on my screen? Can you see a slide?
Not yet. Not yet.
Have you done the share screen yet?
I thought I did, but here we go.
Here we go.
There we go.
All right, so this is a fun slide show that I put together very, very quickly because there's some new people on the call who have not been living here since 1988. I've been here since 95, but we've done a lot of things as a civic associations and neighborhood. And as some of you know, I like to take pictures. So I took lots of pictures. So one of the things I wanted to show the new people is that what you see on the screen is a map of the boundaries of the Park Hills Civic Association. We go from Piney Branch Road, basically across Dale Drive to Greenbrier, and then back along Sligo Creek Parkway. So it looks like a fish.
And if Alan, just real quick, if I can chime in, these are boundaries that we have on a letterhead that go back to at least the 40s.
And what's interesting is that from Wayne Avenue to Greenbrier, our boundaries overlap those of a Seven Oaks Evanswood change that took place at the end of the 1990s. So a lot is happening in this geographic area. Wayne Avenue, of course, the new alignment for the Purple Line. We've got two schools, Silver Spring International Middle School and Sligo Creek Elementary School. And then we've got Sligo Creek, and that's been the focus of a lot of our community attention. So these are our neighbors. We've got about 300 homes, Chris, is that right?
Yeah, about 350. if you include
350
this.
homes. So we're one of
Yes,
the,
yeah.
we're one of the smaller civic associations in Silver Spring in Montgomery County. And we are bordered on this map to the left by Seven Oaks Evanswood, to the right by Sligo Brandview, in East Silver Spring. So there's civic associations and neighborhood associations are an important component of life in Montgomery County. This is one of Nina's children did this for the Thanksgiving parade. We've participated in the Montgomery County Thanksgiving parade for many years. We're the only civic association in the county that regularly participates in this event. Thanks to Cordell, who drives our car, and we've had lots of participation over the years. These are some pictures from many years. A lot of these kids are driving now and going to college. So it's been a while. You'll see some familiar faces in here. A lot of student drivers in these pictures at this point. This is Ben. Ben was quite the star in this year's Thanksgiving parade. Today is Ben's birthday, so Ben and Maren probably not going to join us this evening. Cardell, way back picture, and you can tell that these kids they're babies and now they're driving. So we've had good times at the parade. We've gone to Caldi's afterwards for coffee and hot chocolate for the kids. One of the things that we did is we used to have a regular barbecue in the summer. I hope it's a tradition that we can continue. And they were very popular. We had a lot of elected officials came. Here's Ike Leggett and some neighbors throughout Park Hills who came down to this, what is it called? The Dale Drive Neighborhood Park. This is sort of at the bottom of Dale Drive before you get to Piney Branch. So we all looked younger, a lot younger. Mark Elrich, when he was a county council member before he was county executive. We had a barbecue, and it was a pretty popular event. So I just wanted to share some of these pictures going back in time. Some of the kids are quite young. Guess we had some participation by local law enforcement. We did it at the Dale Drive Neighborhood Park, and this one is in Nolte Park a few years ago when Nancy Florine was still on the council. So you'll see some pictures, some people in here. So this was an event that brought us together. This was snowfall from maybe 5 years ago, and we were snowed in for days. And one of the interesting things about it is the people in the Deerfield cul-de-sac put some money together and they got a snow blower, and they tried to get us out of there. We haven't seen snow like that in a long time, and we may never see it again. And so I walked around the neighborhood, took some pictures of people shoveling out, and finally when the snow trucks came and dug us out. I think it was 3 or 4 days before we were able to drive our cars. Quite a bit of snow. For those of you who've only been here recently, we did have snow. We've done some interesting things. This is some pictures from what we call Home Tree Care 101, where we worked with Conservation Montgomery, a nonprofit organization. I'm the secretary of Conservation Montgomery. The guy in the pink shirt is one of our arborists, and we brought them into the community to walk around and tell us how to trim our trees and what bushes are good and what bushes are bad. We may try to do that again. This is on Sheffield, maybe. Lots of there's the Morgans. So how long was that? One of the things we did, we had a community yard sale before they started restructuring the campus of Silver Spring International Middle School. We used their parking lot for a yard sale. It was pretty successful for a while. We've invited elected officials to come into our neighborhood and to talk to them about problems facing us. This was about the Purple Line. I think Councilmember Reamer was there, maybe Evan Glass. And some of you might remember this gentleman here, Mike Madden from the Maryland Transit Administration. He was the Purple Line director for a long, long time when this project started. He's no longer with state government. A lot of interest in what goes on in our community. Before, in the olden days, pre-pandemic, we used to have our Civic Association meetings in the library of the Sligo Creek, the Silver Spring International Middle School. This is a joint meeting with Park Hills and 7 Oaks Evanswood when Councilmember Tom Hucker spoke to us. We had a campaign forum for people running for elective offices, probably in 2014. Evan Glass was running for delegate. He's now the council president. But as you can see, a lot of community interest, and we often get together with our neighbors to talk about common issues. So these are the olden days. Tina Slater, Gary Klauber, Paul Guinnessy right there, Aaron Wine. We have the police in to talk about community policing issues. Some officers back in the day. A lot of engagement from our community. This was a big meeting that we had with 7 Oaks Evanswood in the Silver Spring Civic building. Presentations from the Purple Line, I believe, and obviously.
Alan, if I could chime in, that was when, if I'm not mistaken, that was when we announced that the state had agreed to fund a re-engineering of Wayne Avenue and Dale intersection and came away with an improved design and a slightly less impactful intersection in terms of width of the Purple Line and amount of grass buffer. So that was to announce the win for the community.
A big meeting of interest at both 7 Oaks and Park Hills. One of the things we talk about a lot is pedestrian safety. Here's Chris and his son, and Lord knows how long ago that was, because Nick is driving now and getting ready to go to college. So it's been a while. Pedestrian safety. We have a Drive Safe, Walk Safe campaign. Lots of energy around pedestrian safety issues. We adopted the road, Sligo Creek Parkway, and we often do the creek cleanups, as you know. Here's our leader on creek cleanups, Chris Richardson. A lot of kids participate, a lot of Boy Scouts, a lot of Girl Scouts, and kids getting their SSL hours.
Yeah, this last MLK Day of Service event was the biggest turnout I've ever seen. It was really great to see over 150 people turn out, I think it was.
Here's Jim Anderson, his wife Deanna. They live in the Fleetwood area and is retired from USDA, and he's one of the county's leading weed warriors and one of our leaders in sustainability. These are some pictures. Well, there's some mixture of pictures here, but as you can see, this is from this year. A lot of kids out cleaning. One of the things that we started doing during the pandemic is we invited the Icy Dream ice cream truck to our community, and we invited the other neighborhoods to come by. It's been very, very successful with over 100 people participating. Great ice cream. We've supported the National Night Out, which takes place, I think, in the first or second Tuesday in August, and the police used to parade through our neighborhood. One of the things that that I'd like to give priority to is the need to deal with invasive vines. This is English ivy, which is destroying this tree and many others in our neighborhood. If anybody needs help dealing with the English ivy on their property, please let us know, and we'll try to arrange to get somebody to come and clip it so we can save some of the trees. This tree at the corner of Wayne Avenue, Dale Drive, and Deerfield had to be taken down because it was completely destroyed by invasive vines. And then we regularly get together on election day, general election and primary elections. It's a time for coming together, and we've got to take some pictures. So there's a picture of Cheryl, your mom, and some other family members with our state senator, Will Smith.
My granddaughter is at Catholic U now, that one in the middle,
Yeah.
the pony with the big hair. Yeah, time, Alan.
So anyhow, I wanted to share some pictures to show that we have some history, and we've been pretty strong together as a neighborhood. Last night, was it last night? Last night we had a meeting of Safe Silver Spring. I'm one of the co-chairs of Safe Silver Spring. It's a nonprofit organization which facilitates conversation with law enforcement. We have quarterly meetings by Zoom. And last night we met with the 3rd District Commander, a guy named David McBain. And he gave us an update on things that are going on at downtown Silver Spring, which are pretty concerning to all of us. I know that there's some families that won't go to downtown Silver Spring. I know there's some families that won't let their kids go to downtown Silver Spring. So the Safe Silver Spring program from last night was videotaped, and I sent around a link to that program to I hope everybody on this call. So you can go to that video and you could see the PowerPoint presentation that the police provided, and they gave us quick updates on some of the things that are most concerning. Probably most concerning was the murder of a very popular guy from Tacoma Park, who was killed in the stairway of the Wayne Avenue garage. It was December 23rd. He had just finished dinner with his family, his wife and his 3 kids. He was taking leftovers back to his car, and on his way to meet his kids and his wife at Ben and Jerry's. Somebody killed him in the stairway of the Wayne Avenue garage. There are no suspects. They have no suspects at all. And everybody's still quite concerned about it. There's some talk about putting cameras in the stairwell, but that's going to take a while. I've been pretty impressed with the police being able to conduct their investigations. But they're going to have a tough time with this one. I think some of you have been paying attention. There's been three carjackings over the course of the last 2 or 3 weeks. One was an armed carjacking at the Safeway. I don't believe that suspect has been apprehended. There was an armed robbery 2 days ago in the Ellsworth garage, where some guy used a gun to take somebody's, if you can believe it, their iPhone and their AirPods. No suspect has been apprehended in that. So there's a lot of things going on in downtown Silver Spring that are concerning. I would argue that our neighborhoods are relatively safe, but everybody needs to take care when they go to downtown Silver Spring, with a couple of rules or guidelines or suggestions. One, if you see something, say something. We asked the police last night if it would help them if people took cell phone pictures and video of things that they saw going down. They said that could be very helpful. So I commend that advice to you. If you see something, say something. If you can get a picture, please take a picture. In the neighborhoods, it's important that we lock the car doors. Most of the theft from autos come from people who leave their cars open, and some people have lost their computers, their cell phones, and other valuable materials. Keep your lights on. That's always helpful. And call the police if you see something. They don't have any problem with you calling them. There's a non-emergency number, but if you see something happening, they want you to call 911.
Can I ask a quick question that I think is on everyone's minds, or a lot of people's minds? I hate to interrupt you because I know we're trying to be efficient. I understand the need for a modernized police station, so I'm happy for the police that they got one out in that Colesville area. but at the expense of what seems to be obvious, that we're metro and the populations and all the traffic, it seems really obvious that we need a permanent police presence. Is there any serious possibility of reestablishing a bricks and mortar presence in downtown police, downtown Silver Spring?
So they're talking about it. And obviously it's a big deal. They have a substation which is above the fire department, but it's not, really useful. It's not user friendly for the public. They say that they're able to deploy their resources efficiently out of the White Oak station, but there's serious conversations about creating a new police district in downtown Silver Spring. But there are financial implications for that, so we'll have to see. Don, do you know anything about that?
No, Alan, I don't. I haven't heard really anything about that.
Okay. One of the other things that's come up, and it's of interest and concern to the people in Rockville, is we think that some of the late night problems we have in downtown Silver Spring is because people are coming from DC and Prince George's County to our late night establishments would stay open later than in DC and Prince George's County. I think there may be an announcement as early as next week about some interjurisdictional cooperation and making, closing the hours at 3 o'clock or so, or maybe even earlier. Please, I'm glad to see some hands are raised. Christian, and then Jen, go ahead.
Alan, thanks a bunch for the report, and thanks to everyone who's been following the policing issue. I just had one question. I'm curious, did the police have any explanation? Because I get the point about, late night crowd, that aspect of it, but it seems like we've got a somewhat random murder, and then also there've been 2 or 3 shootings in the daytime that aren't just attracting a late night crowd. Do the police have any explanation for why they think this is happening, or sort of what their take is on it? It seems, it seems remarkable, because I've always felt really safe in our neighborhood. But it seems like this, it's kind of shocking. And my heart goes out to the family, of course, of the guy who was murdered. It's awful.
There's there are theories, but nobody knows why. It looks like we're sitting ducks over here in sort of downtown Silver Spring. All the transportation nodes come to downtown Silver Spring, buses and metro, and it seems to be a pretty desirable place to come and recreate. And if you've got a lot of people out, then a lot of them are going to be targets. One of the problems that's been going on is open air drug markets. I mean, people just selling pot, just in front of the police and Veterans Plaza, and they've made a command decision not to, arrest people for smoking pot or small time dealers. Jen, and then we'll go to Cheryl, because I see that you had your question. Jen?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. One thing I noticed when I was in downtown Silver Spring at the farmers market, I guess a week and a half ago, is that there was a new on Ellsworth, like a new pop-up camera. There was a little pop-up camera vehicle parked right on Ellsworth, right in front of the movie theater H&M. So I don't know how long that's going to be there, but that was clearly a new addition due to the recent concerns. So I have seen signs of some increased police presence, and that was just one thing I wanted to point out.
Yeah, so that's interesting, because they took that one from Bonifant and Fenton, so that was another hot spot. So they said we'd have 3 cameras. Now we have one on George Avenue, one on Ellsworth. I've been advocating that they put a police car at the corner of Ellsworth and Fenton and keep it there pretty much all the time with an officer nearby, because I think visibility would stop bad guys from doing bad things. Christian made a point, we had one of the concerning things in October was we had that shootout at the skating rink, remember? You had 2 guys running along each side of the skating rink, shooting at each other. one bullet went into the Kava restaurant, one and went into the back of a woman who's was stopped at the light at Ellsworth and Fenton. The cops caught one of those guys, and they've got a warrant out for the other ones because it was clear that they knew each other. So they've been pretty good with their investigations. They need more visibility, but there's a real debate in the community. There's some people don't want to see more cops on the street, and other people would like to see more visibility, and they have to sort that out. Complicated by the fact that the police are down 150 people from their ideal complement of police in the county. So there's not enough cops. The cops work long hours. They're all doing overtime, some making $100,000 in overtime. But the sort of the sad thing is that none of the cops live in the community because they can't afford to live here. And then so they live in places like Shepherdstown, Virginia, and Gettysburg, and they're commuting back and forth from Shepherdstown, from North Carolina and Pennsylvania to come work in the 3rd district. And then, then they go home. And so they're trying to sort out how you can hire more cops, pay them more money, and then provide a place for them to buy a house in Montgomery County. So that's a whole affordable housing issue, workforce housing issue, which we'll hear a lot about this year. Anybody else? Cheryl?
Yeah, I was going to say to you, and you were already hearing from the county exec and from everybody that affordable housing, workforce housing, any affordable housing for anybody is a really, really horrific problem. And they're not even, when you start talking about it with such low optimism, before we even get out the box, I mean, that's going to be a real battle. But I guess what I wanted to say is, I've been living here. I brought my baby, my middle child was a baby when I moved into this little bungalow on where I still am. My husband and I renovated in place. We're aging in place. And I guess we're going to be married to death because I don't know how we got through that. But we aged in place and renovated during the pandemic. And so what I'm saying is I have a perspective with kids who went to Blair when Silver Spring International opened up, our kids who were there, been through that as a parent. And I think that's one of the things I'm seeing is the culture coming back from being out of the country for a while. I could feel it with all these incidents. But my oldest daughter, who's 47, was knocked down outside in the grill in the parking lot with her daughter in the car screaming. And that was several years ago. That was before the pandemic, okay? I think about that principal who was murdered on Dale Drive up near Seminary Road, that house. I mean, I have all kinds of things that have been happening in this community. And it always seems like it would happen and we would get over it, or we didn't want our community to have an image or a stigma. We didn't want to admit, I don't know what the issue is, but we've been having problems for a minute. And it seems to me that this has become the place where folk have money, even young adults who have dispensable income, who live in these little high rises and stuff. And it's attracting people who think that they can, if I can use the word, I don't want to be vulnerable, punk us out. They're going to just do, the police have never made auto theft a big deal. You know that. They've never made an auto theft a big deal. Now it's totally out of control. Now it's not just theft in your car or theft taking your car. Now it's called carjacking in the middle of the daytime. So it's an escalation. So I think there has to be a community response, because I think, Alan, it can't be just a function of more policing. We're ambivalent about policing, but the bottom line is police are not trained to really be the great humanitarians and interventionists with folk who are desperate. They're not trained to do that. No matter who they are, they're not trained to do that. So I think we've got to have to do some kind of community awareness, gather in some forums, and really think boldly out the block. Now, I was just up in the Marshalls getting something for my granddaughter's birthday, and I hadn't been there with my arthritic knees, and I'm dragging my little thing down the hallway from Marshalls to the front of the building. And this guy had been in there talking some crazy stuff, and then he left, and as I was walking down, he was kind of walking behind me. And then I just turned around and looked at him and then stepped aside like, go ahead. Because I could feel this kind of sense of being cased. You know, your old lady carrying these bags. I could feel the sense. But I also, what I felt more than that, because I'm an old probation officer. So yeah, you know, what I felt more than that was his sense of entitlement that he could do that. And that's what is different now for me in downtown Silver Spring. How dare he? He knows, people know, how dare you walk behind an old lady with a bag? Like you have the right to hover behind me, knowing that it's going to create some palpitations in my heart. So I turned around and looked at him like, go ahead. And then he moved on. But he was entitled. They're comfortable in the parking lots, comfortable going through the neighborhoods, comfortable. And I don't know how you change that culture. And that is increasing, is a kind of cultural thing. So whether they're police officers or, you know, some urban environments have neighborhood watch. I don't know what the model is, or maybe we need to have our own Park Hills special rendition. But what I do think it has to be, the community has to say enough is enough and not make it feel so hospitable to people who are basically antisocial. They're just antisocial. They don't want to play by the rules. And we can't sit back and hope that they'll go away and that some third party will fix it. I don't know. I don't know. We bring together the churches. The churches are struggling with anti-Semitism and the craziness going on in their congregations in terms of being assaulted. The county execs giving them money to do security. So maybe this is really a community issue. How do we find safety in this community now? I think we have to go big time. Al, I'm tired of just hearing all the incidents, but I've been hearing these incidents for some time now. They're just becoming more and more frequent, but they're not completely new.
So that's one of the reasons why we have this meeting, so we know our neighbors, so we recognize people in the community, and we can reach out and help each other. I agree, more police in and of itself is not going to solve the problems. There are problems in schools, there are problems in families, there's economic development. I mean, there's jobs, there's lots of things going on. It's a complicated issue, but we need to, you know, watch out for ourselves. We started a neighborhood watch, I don't know, 15 years ago, with the idea that people would look out for each other. We need to do more of that. If anybody's got any, you know, suggestions about that, it's going to be a continuing conversation that we need to have. It does seem that over the course of the last, some of it seems to be related to the pandemic and its after effects. Some of it just has to do with the fact that, you know, with social media, we're more aware of things that are happening. So, you know, an armed carjacking at Safeway, you know, people knew about that in a half hour and just lost their minds about that, as they should. And the cops really don't have a solution for that because they can't be everywhere. But if you see something, say something. One of the guys on the call last night was in downtown Silver Spring walking home, and he saw some young guy wearing a backpack who was just, it was the middle of the day, and he was just doing graffiti on buildings. And so he made a video of that and provided that to the police. So if you see something, say something. We can't rely on the police for our security. Everybody has to be careful, but it's a complicated issue, and we'll be talking about it.
Alan, just real quick, my last note is, I was sitting on a balcony in Dakar, and I could see anyone who goes near my house or my car, because I put that technology in place. That's how I've been there since, I told you, 1988. But I know I can, my daughter, if she goes to my house, anyone go there, I can call my daughter, I can say, look, I can call the police, hit my house. But I now have an alert anytime anyone goes anywhere near my house. That's my reaction to the daggone thing. And I think that some of these systems are free. I don't know if we need to do some awareness, but just pretending that we don't have an entitlement culture of people who break rules in downtown Silver Spring, we have that problem.
Yep, I agree. Nina? you're muted. If you can, there you go.
So I think it's maybe related to this discussion, but Alan, I think you said that at the beginning that Chris is going to give an update of what's going on at Sims. And I'm curious to hear, I know some of us on this call have kids at Sims or kids who will be going to Sims next year. And I'm actually curious to hear from not older neighbors, but neighbors with older kids who have gone through Sims in the last, I don't know, 10 years, what that school was like, because it's horrifying now. That's the only way I can describe it.
That's why I asked, that's why I
yeah.
asked Chris to, Chris was a recent tour with some
Yeah.
elected officials.
Yes.
And so I wanted him to talk about that because it sounds terrifying. I don't have any kids. I don't have any kids in the system, but some of you do. And it just sounds, it's terrifying, and it's not what I expected or what I thought was going on over there. So Chris is going to talk about that in a few minutes. Anyhow, I wanted to just sort of broach the conversation about public safety, because it's a big deal. It's in the newspapers. It's on, it's on the blogs and social media, WTOP, WJLA all the time. They're talking about carjackings and robberies, and it's bad downtown. I think we're relatively much safer in the neighborhoods. We have a new neighbor on Deerfield who's been here for about a year. She's a doctor. She comes home late at night, so she's a little concerned. She asked me to ask the police about lighting, and I think there's a consensus that they could do a lot better with lighting, throughout the downtown and in the neighborhoods. If you see a light that's out, you can call Pepco. They'll come and fix it. If they don't, contact us or contact the county, because I think light will help a little bit. Anybody have anything they want to say else about public safety? Okay, not seeing anybody. Let's move on to the next subject. Melissa, let Melissa go first, Cheryl. Melissa.
Just a question.
Melissa. Melissa, did you want to say something? Because your hand is up. Cheryl, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess my piece is anybody interested in making a case for a police station in downtown Silver Spring? I'm absolutely for it. A visible presence in a structured way. I'm absolutely for it. I think we should just be raising Cain. I don't think we should just roll over with this culture that is evolving in downtown Silver Spring, where those who have are being preyed on by those who may have too, but have some other stuff besides what we have and want to take it. I don't want to play by rules. I think we need a police station. I think that's the only way we can get past this symbolically.
I agree. And as I said, they're having conversations, and we'll have an opportunity to ask the county executive next Monday night at a Civic Federation meeting about what kind of plans they have to beef up security and public safety in downtown Silver Spring. Melissa, you had a comment?
Yeah, Alan, I'm sorry, I had trouble with my phone, but I just wanted to comment briefly that I was really fortunate to be a part of the Citizens Academy at Moco Police Station in Gaithersburg last summer. And it's just an amazing program. It's a lot of time, but you learn everything the police does, everything the police doesn't do, what they should do, what they aren't doing, about crime in Montgomery County. It was one of the most valuable experiences I've ever had here in Montgomery County. And if you have any questions about the program or any specific areas that I might know about as a result, I've got all the presentations and everything. I hope you'll reach out because it was really a valuable experience. And I hope more people will do it. It's really great.
Thank you so much for that suggestion. We'll send out some information about the police academy if people want to do that. Gary, go ahead.
Yeah, about street lighting, the procedure is if it's a street light on a wooden pole, Pepco is responsible, not the county. So get the pole number from a metal plate on the pole and the nearest street address. Call the Pepco fix-it number, which I'm sure you can find easily enough, and report it. My light here at Bonifant and Dale was out intermittently, and they haven't, they said they fixed it, but didn't. And it's, I think, an intermittency that they haven't caught. So I replied to the email saying, no, you didn't fix it. So that's the procedure.
No,
If it's on a wooden pole.
lighting's important, and it's been a problem, throughout the county, but we need to demand that we have good illumination on our streets because it'll keep us safer. Anybody else on public safety, lighting, anything related to that? I'm interested in the conversation about the schools, but I wanted to turn next to Purple Line. Is anybody on that Purple Line community advisory team call that took place earlier this evening?
I was.
So for those of you who are not, in a couple of days, the video from that presentation will be on their website. When it's live, we'll send that link around. They discuss the aspects of the Purple Line affecting Silver Spring, basically from the Silver Spring transit station to the Manchester station. They skipped a little bit over Dale Drive. They spent more time talking about transit center, talking about the library, more about Manchester and less about what's going on at Dale Drive. We tried to ask some questions, and they showed some slides. So it's a useful presentation. I think you all know that we've been working on the Purple Line issues from 2006, Chris. I mean, it's been that long. I mean, it's been
our first open house was in College Park in 2004.
2004, 20 years later, no track, no cars, and just serious disruption in our neighborhood. Looks like it's going to go into 2026, maybe 2027. They really don't know, and they keep encountering all sorts of problems. One of the problems is they didn't know there was so much rock under Wayne Avenue, and evidently that had slowed down the construction progress and the relocation of utilities. As you can see, they've taken 2 lanes away from Wayne Avenue. It's going to be like that for the next 18 months, perhaps longer.
Do you think they really were surprised by the rock, or do you think that was kind of obvious, or is that easy just to say as a backseat driver?
I think they were having done that in Bethesda, where the project for build this building was 3 times, because we didn't know that when they built the Tudors, they put all the excess rock and inside, they left it in the ground. And so we're in the middle of the winter trying to dig through that. And so I believe that school that was built, where did the excess debris go? So I think that's not intuitive. I think that requires someone who's very veteran seasoned. I think they could have missed that.
One of the things that we had suggestion back in the day when we were talking about design and alignments, and was we wanted it to go underground from the transit center to Sligo Creek Parkway.
And Byrne Kelly of Tacoma Park actually proposed an aerial like it's doing over Connecticut Avenue, which wasn't.
It would have been. It was $100 million a mile if you did it underground, and now probably much more expensive. So it is what it is. You now see the barriers on Wayne Avenue. I asked the Purple Line people tonight, who do we call when people start spray painting those barriers? And we're supposed to call the police and call the Purple Line and try to remove the graffiti. It's hard for me to believe that if that's going to be there for the next 18 months to 2 years, that nobody's going to try to tag it. And we see tagging all over the place. But they provide numbers. If you've got a question that needs to be answered quickly, you go to their website and you call them, and they say they'll call you back quickly. So it's going to take a while, and there's going to be a lot of disruption. There's nothing we can do about it. There's rules about how much noise they can make. They say they follow the county guidelines. If something bugs you, just give them a call. they should know that we're paying attention to that. Those community advisory team meetings are only going to be every 6 months. So we won't have an opportunity to sort of catch up with them until June, July, or probably September after the summer. Anybody have anything?
If I can chime in, we have asked for, since December, for a meeting convening representatives from both schools, Sligo Creek and Sims, and community member as well, but a relatively tight group so we can problem solve around morning and afternoon movements of buses and parent drop-offs and all that sort of thing, because it seems clear that their current plan is not adequate enough. So we're trying to nail down a date for that relatively soon. That's been a long process.
As I understand it, if you're going down Wayne Avenue, so down Wayne Avenue is eastbound, you won't be able to make a left onto Sligo Creek Parkway. And at the same time, if you're going south on Sligo Creek Parkway toward Wayne Avenue, you're not going to be able to make a right turn on Wayne Avenue. So there's going to be a lot of disruption, cut through traffic on Dale Drive, probably Mansfield, just throughout. So if you see something that bothers you, let us know, call the cops, call the Purple Line. But there's not much that they're going to be able to do. So we'll send around the link to that presentation. It's worthwhile seeing that. Christine, you have a question or a comment?
I do, just regarding the cut through traffic on Mansfield. For those of us who walk dogs on
Hi,
that
Chris.
street, it's already difficult to miss some of the traffic that comes zooming up the street. I'm just concerned that there is going to be even more of it. To your point, people get frustrated. They'll go ahead and just angrily then fly up that street even faster. Is there any way to get a camera or anything else that might help speed mitigation?
We'll ask. I know that somebody put on the listserv just this week that they wanted a four-way stop at Mansfield and Dale Drive, but Don and I have fought that battle before, and they haven't.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Right, they haven't done anything. No rumble strips, no blinking lights, no four-way stop. If there's a problem, they're going to have to react to it. But it's just going to be pure hell for the next 18 months or.
Well, I heard something in the meeting, maybe because I was so green to the conversation. But I'm from Boston, and so I lived through the big dig, the $8 billion project that ended up being, $24 billion, anyway, something ridiculous. And what I heard in this group is they don't know how much this stuff is gonna cost. And so are we nickel and diming through this project? They don't know when they can get the stuff that they need, the equipment or the supplies. It just feels like this is a wide open, that's what I get a sense, a wide open, we'll figure it out as we go.
That's a good instinct because they have been nickel and diming. When Governor Hogan came in, he cut tens of millions of dollars from the project, and it affected what was going to happen, the quality of the project we were going to get over here on Wayne Avenue, where it's shared street. So yeah, they are nickel and diming.
Because the county has to make up the difference for what Hogan took out of the state budget.
And now what they're saying is that post pandemic, coming out of the pandemic with the supply chain problems, everything is going to be more expensive. So they'll probably be looking for ways to cut.
And less available too. So time lags.
We can cross our fingers and hope that this new governor is going to be more sensitive. He's made transit a priority, that and they have lots of money in surplus that they may be able to help us out there. But it's going to be a long time. At the end of the day, we're going to have we're supposed to have a hiker biker trail that goes along the school. We're supposed to get some trees back, no towering oaks like we had before, but hopefully it'll be nice when they finish it. It's just going to take a long time, and we're going to be miserable throughout. And
so is the question from the county leadership, for downtown Silver Spring, it's either a police station or it's the Purple Line, but we really can't do both with any true quality, efficiency, or timeliness. Is that what we're really dealing with here? Because I'm kind of confused. Because this is a deterioration of this area that's really a very important area for business and residential development. So I'm confused about what's the attitude and the new county council is trying to figure out who they are with each other. And Mark is trying to figure out how to deal with, I guess, affordable housing. I don't know. Where are we with the issue for this community? Police station and Purple Line, isn't that what we're trying to talk about? Can't the county invest in both? And we can get more to counter some of that with Mark. He gets along with more in a way he didn't with Hogan. I don't know, but why can't we want both? Both should happen. The nickel and diming the Purple Line. This is a nickel and dime, the big dig. We call it the Big Purple for downtown Silver Spring.
Yeah, well, we need both, and it's going to be a problem. The Purple Line is a state project, so that's where that money is coming from. The police station's county money, and I think they've got it handled. So it's going to require.
Wait. I'm sorry. The Purple Line also was originally supposed to get 900 million in federal funding. Is that going to be parceled out over time?
I don't know. I mean, I think the federal money is guaranteed, and it's in the state money now is its contribution. A lot of it's done by the contractor. So the question is, are they going to cut corners? But we need both, and it's just going to require some advocacy, especially from our state and our county officials. And quite frankly, over the last 5 or 10 years, we haven't had a lot of advocacy on behalf of our segment. Laurie Charkoudian has been the best legislator for us in terms of advocating for us. Excuse me, my dog's a little aggravated here.
And just to get to Christian's point about nickel and diming Bethesda, I have a Dr. Gridlock column from, 2010, 2011 that's talks about the Purple Line going across Connecticut Avenue at street level, just like the Purple Line goes across Georgia Avenue at street level, only to find out years later that I'm guessing millions are invested for the overpass. If you go to Chevy Chase Lake today, you won't see Purple Line going at street level. They found somehow the money to make it go over that, and good for them. I'm happy for them. Does it have to be at our expense? So as someone who was on the Functional Master Plan Advisory Board representing this area back in 2008, 2009, I can tell you that, yes, we pushed them hard to study the tunnel, and Bern Kelly of Tacoma Park said you could also do an aerial crossing, which is what happened in the end over Connecticut Avenue. So, I mean, we really need to stop being so nice. I mean, really, people do not realize when there's going to be a huge wake up moment when the Purple Line is operational and is going across Georgia Avenue. And they told us with a straight face that there'd be no adverse traffic impacts at that intersection. We couldn't believe it. Ask Karen Roper. I'll be quiet.
Yeah, so Purple Line is a live issue for us, and there's lots of things that we still have to worry about. One of the most immediate one is the impact of what the changes to Wayne Avenue are going to do to the buses and cars going to Sims and Sligo Creek Elementary School, and then pedestrian safety. So maybe Kelly, do you have any thoughts about your conversations with the Purple Line contractor and the state authorities and the school authorities about the pedestrian aspects of what we're talking about?
So my conversations were not successful and were very frustrating. I started with an email to Carla of Maryland Transit Solutions in the fall, and she was very receptive to sort of meeting with me. She wanted to set up a Zoom meeting, which I did. And, we had a good conversation, I thought, for about a half an hour with some concrete asks that I got from the school principals at Sims and Sligo Creek. And during that half an hour or so, Carla acted as though she could implement these requests, or somehow that this was going to happen. But nothing nothing happened. And, you know, it was about half days and having a construction stop at the appropriate time on half days. Nothing happened with that. I sort of got back to the school leadership, and then Carla said it wasn't in her authority to do anything and that MTA had to do something. And I just had several email exchanges where it seemed like the only action that any side was taking was just to email. It's like the more people that were copied on an email, that was the action, just to copy all these people. And I just think the more people that are copied on an email, at least in my workplace, the less likely anything is going to happen, anything will happen. So I don't know. I just sort of put that on hold. Perhaps I can talk with Chris about these new efforts. I mean, but both the administration at Sims and at Sligo Creek seemed receptive to, you know, finding solutions. Ms. Neesmith and Ms. Bryant and Ms. Brown at Sligo Creek, I mean, they're very busy and they were sort of happier to work through an intermediary, but they did seem receptive and considered this to be a problem. I was just frustrated that the efforts that I made seemed totally futile and gained no traction. I was in contact again with Matt Pollock about some signage, and I feel that he was very dismissive. And yeah, that's where I kind of left it. So I need to regroup. I need to regroup and maybe work with Chris. I joined a committee. There was one of the Montgomery County PTA, that umbrella organization. There was a Safe Routes to School subcommittee, and I joined that group. But that group doesn't seem to have gotten active yet. But I did notice there were, you know, names of people from both Sims and Sligo Creek who were interested. So I guess to be continued. It was just frustrating to see that I was just baffled. I didn't know who would own the issue.
Well, let's partner
Kelly,
with Chris. Let's partner with Seven Oaks, because they obviously have a dog in that fight too. And as we can sort of ratchet up sort of the community response, maybe we'll get some action. I share with you the disappointment with Carla Julian from Maryland Transit Partners, who have not been responsive, has basically been bullshitting us for for 2 years now, 3 years now. She's not a decision maker. She's the person to hold the hand of the community, and she's not doing a very good job at that. But now that they've put these dividers, I mean, those of you who've ever been out, when school is out, I mean, how many times do you see kids sort of darting across Wayne Avenue to get from one side to another? And now those barriers are there. So now they're going to have to climb over the barriers into 2 lanes of traffic to get from one side to the other. We're not going to change their behavior. Now they want people to walk down to Mansfield and cross, or walk up to Dale Drive and cross, and kids are not going to be doing that. So it's going to be a risky situation for everybody. And if there's any close calls, I mean, we'll be able to get MCPS and the county and the state's attention, and the contractor, but it's going to be a tough slog for a while, because, and we've been lucky for the last couple of days, there hasn't been a lot of traffic on those 2 lanes, but there's been flagged people out, and the buses are coming down, and the lanes are barely wide enough for the buses to transit it safely. So it's going to be a difficult situation. I will say, to their credit, they did seem to clean up the sidewalks, though. I mean, we had been through a pretty bad situation with the metal plates and with tar that was melting, and potholes and this kind of thing. They looked like they made it somewhat safer. Gary, you could attest to that, right? They had done a lot.
Yeah, at least I walked down there this morning, somewhat safer, but at least on the east side of east or north, whatever it is, on my side of Wayne, it's still uneven, goes up, down, around. You have to be a little bit careful, but just stay on the correct side of the white line so you don't get hit by a car.
Yeah, so we'll go to Purple Line and insist that they smooth things out and that there's no jagged edges and there's no holes and things like that. Chris?
Yeah, so Kelly, you hit it right on the head. Back in December, we said we need to meet. We know that we're going to have this major construction on Wayne that'll constrict traffic, and there's inadequate plans in place for how to deal with all the different school movements. And so, and here it is, February, and I had to speak up today and tug on the shirt sleeve really hard and say, seriously, we're all waiting to speak because our input is on the ground intelligence is very much needed. And so it's just been foot dragging. But if I could, I'd like to switch gears to the school in a different way, if I may. I'm holding up a book in front of the
Hey, Chris, let's
camera.
use, everybody, let's use the last 15, 20 minutes to talk about the situation at Sims. I've asked Chris to make a presentation about it. He can share his screen. I hope everybody thinks that, getting together periodically like this is useful, that it's good to see people's faces, hear their concerns. We don't do enough of this. Please continue to sort of share concerns on the listserv. We've got a Facebook page, and I apparently Chris and I are the only people who use that, but it's a good way of spreading some information. And please reach out to neighbors and friends and try to get them engaged in this, because it takes a village, and we need more hands on deck. That's for sure. Chris, go ahead.
Right. So we're going to talk about Sims, but I'm going to talk about something that seems really incongruous at first. I'm holding up a book, and just so you can see the cover, and I'll read it to you since I'm sure it's not very legible. It's a catalog of public buildings that were made by the Public Works Administration from between the years 1933 and 1939. It's a reprint from 1986, but it's pretty much a page by page, a facsimile. And here's another page that I wanted to show. Look at these two buildings. They're the only two Montgomery County educational buildings that were built with federal money. And they started out pretty much identical. The $275,000 budgets were almost exactly, Bethesda Chevy Chase is the one school, and Sims, which was, as you know, Montgomery High School, the other two, it was the other high school. I'm guessing same architect, and they look very much the same when they started out in 1935. But BCC was $12,000 more, but really the same. The reason why I bring that up is because, let me just, if a show of hands, how many people have been to the BCC book fair, the annual book fair? It's one of events I look forward to every year. You can fill up your bags, $10 a bag, and come out with just tons of books for very little money. It's very well run. I say this because when you go to BCC and you're not from there, I'm Silver Spring and Sligo area since the 90s, and it's a show place. It is really remarkable, and it's intact, and it's been added on to. Sims is also intact, and they've added on to it as well. But one school so lags behind the other, it's almost comical if it weren't so tragic. I mean, really, you should make a point of going to BCC and then comparing it to Sims. Now, you might say, well, sure, BCC is still high school, but the Old Blair is not. You're right. It's the only school in the county that's been retrofitted into two schools. And like Cheryl said in her comment, you have two very different populations trying to retrofit. It's a 14-acre campus, and it has a lot of unique aspects to it that make it a challenge. And the point that I want to make is it is really apparent just how much this building has lagged behind BCC. And for those who would say, well, it's no longer a high school, I'd say, well, then our closest counterpoint would be Tacoma Park Middle School. And there's significant investments in that school. I can only imagine how it would compare. So I took a tour recently with the principal and one of our Board of Education members, our new council member, Kate Stewart, and Kate Stewart's staff member. We had two prominent people from the teachers unions. We had a teacher staff member. It was a great group. That was on a Friday. Then the next Friday, which was this past weekend, was a really scary time for a lot of families. This was not the first time there were rumors of a shooting that was going to take place. And it doesn't matter how unreliable they may have seemed to an adult, to an objective, an outsider who wasn't directly involved, but every family had to make a decision about whether or not to send their child on Friday. And I can't believe that I've spent 9 years at Sligo Creek, down in the weeds as a PTA member, doing all kinds of problem solving and working hard on all these things, and then having a lot of time spent at Sims because there's a lot of overlap in the buildings, and only finding out last Friday and on that tour with all those well-heeled members joining us that there's no place at Sims for an all-school meeting. And if ever there was a time to bring everyone together eye to eye and to vibe each other out and find out what's going on in school, would be when you have rumors that someone's going to do a mass shooting at school, which is a horrifying prospect. And let me tell you, when kids are in the lunchroom popping bags, pow, and thinking it's funny, and a number of students thinking it's really unfunny and quite unsettling, while at the same time, you might hear screaming in the girls' bathroom because that's funny. When it's not, it only adds to the unease that some students felt. And so I'm sure it was not just a few of us who kept our kids home on Friday from school. If I could, I'm going to share a screen so you can see a few things, so I don't just go on and on, because I could spend quite a bit of time talking about all my experiences at school. Someone was joining in. Can go ahead and chime in if you will. Someone was just about to say something.
I was going to say, Chris, because I've got professional kids at Whitman. My granddaughter just graduated from BCC. Another daughter went to Tacoma. And I just want to talk about the facility itself, because I think that what's happened is the issues with kids' suicide, drug overdose, that's all over the place. That's not just at this school. The threats, that is not unique to this school. Trust me. But what I'm saying to you is the nature of the building is the tipping point. And no teacher can really feel productive or safe trying to manage that many children in that building. So I want to talk about the building, because from the very beginning, when that school opened, they had this model principal, middle school, but she was wonderful. She welcomed every kid in the building every morning. And then she got accused of participating with allowing somebody to do some standard test cheat or whatever. And then they suspended her, and the kids all went to an emotional meltdown at one time. They did get her back, but they never recovered the kind of nurturing culture that she was trained to and was doing, and was mishandled because of who that school was. It was always seen as kind of like a second-class facility with a special challenge for the principal. So what I'm saying to you is my son, my daughter, my adopted daughter, they went there. They would run down to the gym in the cold, and the kids would be fighting going. I mean, the building's been a complete disaster. There was no way you could structure the kids in a way that the teachers could have their hands on while they do the rest of their role. That building's never accommodated that. My daughter was at the Blair Communication Magnet, and she and her little friends did a whole project advocating for the auditorium, for a new auditorium and theater space. They did their whole, it was wonderful, but it didn't pass. But they went and they were going to the council before I even knew how to go to a council member. And so even the kids at Blair, my daughter and her friends, knew the building was defunct. So what I'm saying to you is, I think the problem is the building is a sick building. It never was it's never been capable of serving the academic mission, never. And now you have kids with the pandemic, mental health dysregulation, the new standard of communication. And now the teachers are overwhelmed. They can't do that and do that building. And it's always been a problem. But now I want to say to you, there's been some great teachers there that's done some great things for my children there. So it's not been all bad, but it's always been uphill for me watching them in that building.
So I'd like to, you talked about the principal. I'm glad you did, because there have been some statements tonight about concern and about the environment at the school at Sims, and rightly so. Let me stress that Principal Bryant has been there for as long as I can, not for as long as I can remember. I remember when Mr. Haas came in to replace the principal that you mentioned, Cheryl, and
Right.
then Ms. Bryant has been there ever since and has been an anchor and is one of my heroes. Very professional on the job and with a song in her heart. And so I hope that Principal Bryant continues to stay, because I think Principal Bryant is a big asset for the school and is doing an amazing job with what is given to Principal Bryant. Can everyone see the email that's on the screen? It says greetings, Sims community. Can everyone see that?
No, we don't have that. We've got the
Okay,
Facebook page.
I'm sorry. So I'm trying to do, I'm trying to do the, it says I'm screen sharing right now.
Yeah.
And we see it says a Facebook page.
Oh, so let me go, I'm sorry, let me go to the Facebook page. I'm sorry, I don't know, I'm a beat behind. Hold on a second, let me figure out. Here we are. Okay, so there's the Facebook page. So you can see that the list of people that were at the school. When I click on this picture, can you see the pictures that I'm going
Yeah.
through?
Yes.
Okay, so just in case anyone didn't see this, this is on the Park Hills. These pictures on Park Hills website, also on Sims. Stairway 7 is a major liability, cannot handle the capacity. There was a recent incident where there was an unplanned fire drill. It took 10 minutes to get out of Stairway 7. If a real emergency had been taking place, concern about potential for lost life. There were some other aggravating factors that can be improved that relate to staffing and locking of doors or some such thing. But Stairwell 7, people have known for decades, is a big issue. It speaks to the fact that what Cheryl's getting at, that the school is really old and it has not been modernized nearly to the extent like over at BCC. What you're looking at now is when you're on Wayne Avenue and you're looking at what looks like the old entrance, it is the old entrance. It's the old
Right.
entrance. It's got the steps that goes up on both sides. But if you look out at night, like right now, it's completely dark, unlike the rest of the school. This is the old front entrance when it was a high school. That was the front office. To the left, when you're looking at it from the street. And then to the right is the band room. And it's like the old Blair Auditorium. It's just, I wouldn't say it's imploding, but it's just slowly deteriorating. A basement going up to a scary place, stairs going up to a scary, dark place. It's just sitting fallow. And the old Blair Auditorium, by the way, Principal Bryant did not know, was where Stevie Wonder had performed impromptu when he was campaigning in 1981 for the federal holiday to honor Dr. King. So it's historic, but perhaps in not all the right ways. Perhaps you could make a case to tear it down and start again. But fast forwarding to the present, I'm trying to get over to an email, and I'll read it to you if you can't see it. I'm trying to. I guess you're not seeing my email, are you? To Sims, greetings Sims community. Do you see that?
No.
Okay, let me see if I can figure out how to do that real quick. Okay, so, all right, so there's the co-presidents from Sims have an email that is, I will distill and make public on Park Hills and other listservs. And it says, if I can go quickly here, we have expressed concerns and our advocacy team has been working hard to capture these concerns to share with the boards of education, the MCPS Central Office Administration, and our county council members. We ask that you take a moment to write a letter. This is where we could use everyone going to bat. If we just let the school community write letters, I could see some officials saying, well, that's just the middle school people and they're only going to be around for 3 years. And when they're gone, you know, and who cares? But if we all support them and also support Principal Bryant, It would really make a difference if we all would to take time to do such advocacy, such as sharing these concerns. We are specifically asking for 1, additional security staff to monitor the field house and track, 2, additional staff to monitor hallways, particularly stairwell 7, 3, security cameras to cover the 14-acre campus, 4, shifting the social worker position from part-time to full-time, given the increased population of at-risk students. And then it lists some bullet points. The Sims building and campus present considerable security challenges. Talks about security challenges, security cameras not covering the whole building, doors not sufficiently monitored with only 2 security guards. Field house does not have designated security, and students have to leave the building. I can see this from our back window every day to go to the field house. It may not seem like a big deal, but in the new era, it is. It's up to the school staff, the physical education to monitor that, and they're not always able to do that. That's a big ask, and it's a liability to monitor the students as they go to and from the building. Here's a big one. There are schools that share space with parkland. Did you know that our entire school track is on park property? I thought only part of it was. I thought maybe close to the creek. No, the whole track is. That's not a big deal, but the expectation from the public is we should be able to work out at the track any old time that we like. There are no signs. Dr. Moran, Associate Superintendent, he saw a lot of things that he said instantly, I want to fix these. We're really grateful for his input at this point. He's first saw there's no sign saying limited access during school hours, but here's why we can't do that yet. We're one of the only schools in this situation, and this is so typical because it's only Sims. We're the only schools that doesn't have MOU, a memorandum of understanding with parks. We need to have an MOU ASAP. So that's one of the things we talked about, but we could use your help echoing all these things that I'm saying really quickly. 88 non-compliance all over the place, We need investments in that as well. We had the malfunctioning alarm and this in the stairwell 7. We need to, upgrade. We need investments. There's a redesign. Let me just really quickly say that I was at Sligo Creek right before COVID, and very involved in the PTA, and the scuttlebutt from Joe Shishati, who's most plugged in, was interest in the redesign. And then during COVID, we started falling off the radar. And even before COVID, Joe was warning us, other schools are getting higher priority because we're not screaming loud enough. And then during COVID, we fell off the radar, and there's a board vote coming up soon. And this is where we could use your help. And we need to change that direction from, and here's part of the problem. It's not just lack of desire in investing in Sims because it's been traditional. It's the complications of the purple line are so complicated that it makes people anxious and wanting to go to sleep. They don't want to deal with it. And it's not personal. It's just too complicated. And if we don't make noise, then it makes it easier for them to just do the minimum Band-Aid to fix the plug. And we need to say, no, we need much better. The last point gets at the heart of how different it is, Cheryl, than it was when kids were going to Sims years ago. There are so many documented incidents about fights, violent incidents, stink bombs, numerous incidents at one point in the bathrooms, BB gun incidents, weapons, and more than one threatened school shooting, that it seems pretty obvious to teachers and anyone who's been there for a long time. The consensus is that the physical environment itself of the school and its decrepitude is demoralizing, and we think it's pretty clear it contributes to discord and friction among the students. It's not causing it, but it's definitely aggravating. That's why we need to advocate for greater investments. So I showed you the pictures, and I just wanted to make a big pitch for, let me just take a quick drink here. For those who are new to the community, Park Hill's website has some fun stuff like the history tab, which I would love to add to because I have a notebook of fun correspondence that goes back to the 40s. But more importantly, we have meeting minutes that go up to, if you go to meeting minutes, the last thing it has is the big PowerPoint from 2021. Kelly and I helped prepare all about safety on the Waynedale School Corridor. It's a much better version of a slideshow than the one from 2019. It's right there at the top of meeting minutes. And then there's a purple line tab. But I just want to make sure that you know that the purple line tab is important because it's by far the most authoritative historical distillation of the major purple line decision-making in our community on the Wayne corridor since kind of the beginning days. So if you want a historical perspective, you can turn there. It's 9 o'clock. I need to stop talking. Thank you for listening. Any questions about what I've said on Sims?
Well, we've come to the end of our time, Chris. Thank you for that presentation. Obviously, we need to advocate on behalf of greater investments and more attention by MCPS and the county for this school, because I was horrified when I heard some of these stories. I think I mentioned to some of you, I know I told Chris, you know, and just doing my social media browsing, I came across a page which was about Sims Fight Club. And it was videos of girls and boys in the bathroom kicking each other's butts, recorded by cell phone and then published to the internet. And I just didn't expect that was happening across the street from me. And from what I hear from Kelly and from Chris and other people, it's a terrible situation. And they have been avoiding it. And we're not going to let the purple line construction be an excuse. We're going to have to just advocate really forcefully to get some attention. And if that means bringing the press in and, you know, WJLA and WTOP, they can have a field day with that picture that you showed with the discarded notebooks on the steps, you know, going up into the darkness. I mean, what a scary picture that was. So let's resolve that we're going to
Quick question. Are there any reports of suicide or drug overdose?
Not that I'm aware of.
So I just want to make sure that we have a perspective around those professionals who are teaching those kids, because suicide is at BCC, at Whitman, drug overdoses at Whitman, at Kennedy. I'm saying that kids are in trouble in schools.
Yes.
All right. And relatively speaking, I hear about the butt kicking, Alan, and really frankly speaking, that's almost normative now. It's almost normative now across many schools. But it seems to me that still has not reached that level of real mental health crisis, but it can get there. The building is sick. The building's been sick, though. That's not new. It's just getting worse.
There are mental health issues at Sims.
I'm just talking about to the point where they're killing themselves and killing each other.
No, but I mean, maybe not. But it's
that's happening in the other schools.
No, I understand, but it's
well, let's resolve to continue this conversation about Sims and Sligo Creek Elementary School at another time, and we can really drill down and focus. We focused to discuss a lot of different issues this evening. There's a lot of work to be done. Kelly has suggested that we do some fun things. Jen has suggested we do some fun things because that's a contribution. That's what we can do.
Fun and educational, like CPR training and stuff like that.
Bringing back the Icy Dream truck to Nolte, maybe doing the summer barbecue. Jen has thought about having a community sort of seminar on the, what is it? The
CPR, naloxone.
CPR,
what did you call it? CERTA training or something like that? Yeah, basically
course,
like community kind of first aid training and things like that.
The county used to have a program called Community Emergency Response Teams, and they would take groups of people from the community and teach them CPR and how to deal with drug overdoses and how to respond in case of emergency. I think that's a useful exercise. We had the suggestion about the Citizens Academy for the police. People might be interested in that, and I think the police are still offering drive-alongs for people in the community. So there's a lot to do, and we just need to focus our attention. We haven't met as a community in 6 months, so it's long overdue. Let's make sure that we do it more frequently. So thank you, everybody, for participating. Follow up on the listserv if you have any concerns. Commend to your attention the Safe Silver Spring video from last night, the Purple Line video from today. This video will be up and available for other people to see. Please engage your neighbors. We've got 350 houses. We need to have 100 people in our calls because it's going to take everybody sort of putting their shoulder to the wheel. If there's anybody else have any announcements they'd like to make for the good of the group? Are you waving goodbye there, Jen, with the?
I was clapping. It was an applause.
Okay, thank you so
That's the
much.
applause emoji. Thank you, Alan.
Okay, everybody, thank you
Thank
so
you, Alan.
much. I'll put this up as soon as I can. Everybody take care.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Chris.